The bell above the door jingled softly as Daniel stepped into Willow and Sons, the little bookstore tucked between a flower shop and a bakery on a quiet street. The air smelled faintly of paper and dust, with a hint of lavender drifting in from a florist next door. Sunlight filtered through the tall windows, catching dust motes that swirled like tiny stars. Daniel had been coming here for weeks. He told himself it was because the bookstore was quiet, the kind of place where a struggling writer could sit for hours and soak in inspiration. But the truth was it felt alive in a way the rest of the city didn't. And it started with a book. The first time he noticed, he had pulled an old copy of Pride and Prejudice from the shelf. Inside, delicate handwriting wound its way through the margins. Not careless doodles or random scribbles, but thoughtful notes, almost like conversations with the author. "Isn't it funny," one note said, "how Darcy seems proud, but really just afraid?" Daniel had smiled. It was exactly what he had thought. Only someone else had written it years before. When he flipped to another page, he found, "If I ever meet my Darcy, I hope he's clumsy and human, not perfect." The words felt personal, intimate, like a whisper across time. From then on, Daniel searched for books with notes. A volume of poetry with lines underlined and little hearts in the margins. A weathered mystery novel with predictions scrawled before each reveal. Even a cookbook with sarcastic remarks. Who actually is saffron lying around? The handwriting was always the same. Neat, slightly looping with the occasional flourish. Whoever this person was, they had left breadcrumbs scattered through the shelves, a hidden dialogue only for those who care enough to look. And Daniel was hooked. He began to feel like he was piecing together the edges of someone's soul. Someone witty, thoughtful, and a little romantic. Someone who saw the world with the same tilted perspective he did. On this particular morning, he found himself in the poetry aisle again. He pulled a faded book of sonnets from the shelf, flipping through eagerly. There it was, a note on the corner of the page. "This one makes me cry every time." Imagine loving someone so much that words aren't enough. Daniel traced the ink with his finger, his chest tightening. He didn't know this person, didn't even know if they still came here. But somehow, he felt closer to them than to most people he actually talked to. And in that quiet bookstore with the smell of old paper and the soft of the life outside, Daniel realized he wasn't just looking for inspiration anymore. He was looking for them. Daniel became a detective. Every visit to Willow and Sons turned into a treasure hunt. He scoured the aisles, pulling down books at random, novels, plays, collections of essays, hoping for another glimpse of that familiar handwriting. And almost every time he found it, this character deserved better. Don't we all wish someone would look at us like this? Note to self, never read this chapter in public. Tears guaranteed. The notes weren't just commentary. They were fragments of a life. A glimpse of humor, vulnerability, and longing inked in margins. One afternoon, he sat cross-legged on the floor with 3 different books open in front of him, studying the loops and curls of the handwriting like a scholar. Found another one? Daniel looked up, startled. The shop owner, Mrs. Willow, stood nearby with a knowing smile. She was in her 70s, her silver hair tied back in a bun, her eyes sharp behind her glasses. Daniel cleared his throat. Yeah, seems like someone's been leaving a trail." Mrs. Willow chuckled softly. "You're not the first to notice." Daniel's heart skipped. "You know who it is?" She shook her head. "No one does. The notes have been appearing for years. Different books, different times. Some think it's one person. Some think it's a few. I like to think it's a soul that wanted to be heard." A soul. Daniel liked that. Over the next week, the notes grew more personal. In a copy of The Great Gatsby, I always thought love was supposed to be fireworks, but maybe it's just quiet understanding. In a book of modern essays, some days I feel invisible, but here in these pages I exist. Daniel's chest ached as he read them. Whoever this person was, they were speaking directly to his own loneliness, his own search for meaning. And then, one rainy Thursday, he found it in a tattered collection of Rilke's poetry. Tucked between verses about longing and beauty was a note different from the rest. Not just a comment, but a message. If you're reading this, it means you search the shelves like I do. Maybe one day we'll be here at the same time. Maybe one day I'll meet the person who reads the margins. Daniel froze. His heart hammered in his chest. For the first time, the notes weren't just echoes from the past. They were an invitation. From that moment on, the bookstore wasn't just a place of words and stories. It was a place of waiting. Daniel's visits to Willow and Sons became more frequent. Mornings, evenings, weekends. He lingered in the aisles, pretending to browse while his eyes darted toward the door. He bought coffee from the bakery next door, settled into the reading nook, and waited. For days, nothing happened. Just the usual trickle of customers, a mother with her child, students hunting for used textbooks, elderly regulars who came to chat with Mrs. Willow. But then one quiet Saturday afternoon, the bell above the door chimed, and Daniel's world shifted. She walked in, a young woman in a green coat, her hair damp from the drizzle outside, holding herself with the nervous energy of someone who both belonged here and felt exposed. She drifted straight to the poetry section, her fingers brushing the spines like she knew them all by heart. Daniel's pulse quickened. He watched as she pulled a slim book from the shelf, flipped through it, and smiled faintly, like greeting an old friend. And then she did something that made his breath catch. She pulled a pen from her bag, leaned against the shelf, and began to write in the margins. It was her. Daniel stood frozen, every nerve alive with the weight of the moment. Months of searching, of piecing together a stranger through ink and paper, and now she was here, real, just a few steps away. He forced himself to move. His legs carried him forward before his fear could drag him back. "Excuse me," he said softly. The woman looked up, startled. Her eyes were warm brown, curious but cautious. Daniel fumbled, holding up a book he'd pulled from the shelf. One of hers, the pages filled with her handwriting. "I think I've been following your trail." Her eyes widened. She glanced at the book in his hands, then at the pen in hers. For a moment, silence stretched between them, and then she smiled. A small, nervous smile, but genuine. "You read the margins," she said. Not a question, a realization. Daniel laughed breathlessly, relief flooding through him. "Yeah, I guess I've been talking to you in a way. Or listening, at least." The woman tucked her pen behind her ear. "I never thought anyone would notice. I write because I don't want to disappear between the pages." "You didn't," Daniel said firmly. "You're the reason I kept coming back. You made the words feel alive again." Her cheeks flushed, and she looked down, tracing the edge of the book with her finger. "I'm Clara." Daniel. Their names hung in the air, the beginning of something fragile but real. Mrs. Willow, from behind the counter, watched with a knowing smile as Daniel and Clara sat down together in the reading nook. Two books opened between them, their voices weaving into the quiet hum of the store. For the first time, the margins weren't just filled with ink. They were filled with connection.